People often don't know, but when we make a film, we watch it so often that we almost have it memorized.
Yeah.
But this is a film, perhaps uniquely so, where we watch it for the 18th time and we're like, wow.
I still cry.
Well, you do cry at the ending. And again, there are other films where we've had people in tears or just stand up and applaud in the theater. But what we're saying is that it has that effect on us after multiple viewings, which is really remarkable. Well, let's look at what we're trying to do with this film. One of the things that I think that has frustrated me is that the debate over Israel, over the Middle East, it's so static. And you hear the same kind of cliches on both sides. What about the genocide? What about colonialism? What about the civilian casualties? And then on the other side, Israel is our only ally in the Middle East, and also Israel was attacked first, and so, or Hamas is responsible for the civilian casualties because they do human shields. So there's a certain kind of tableau, a set debate. I think what's exciting to me is that we raise the level and we transform the debate by not so much by jumping in the middle of it and just taking one side or the other, but by elevating it to a completely new level, for framing questions and answering them that people haven't even thought of, right? And you wanted us to do that, and I think it is so fascinating how this film came about. It didn't come about sort of in one shot. It wasn't like a blazing insight like Paul on the road to Damascus. It came about in stages. So talk a little bit about how we kind of got on this track.
Well, as you know, this movie was actually going to be this. We've been kind of, concocting a movie since about 2022.
Right.
And initially, we were going to do a January 6th movie.
Right.
But there had been other movies made of January 6th, and we just felt like it was going to be just a little bit too difficult to do. We just weren't, we were praying about it, and now I know why. But God had other plans.
Right.
And then one thing led to another, and Salem, because we're partnered with Salem to do this movie, they said, well, what about a movie on Israel? And this is prior to October 7th.
Right. It's so interesting because we had gone to Israel in December of 22, and yet we did not propose to Salem a movie on Israel. They came up with it a little before October 7th. Boom, October 7th occurs. Now, we were like, this is now an interesting topic, but couldn't go to Israel.
Yeah, we thought because October 7th happened, we were going to have to pivot because
travel was blocked.
Yeah,
there was essentially a war started, right?
That's right.
And so we were totally stymied. And at the same time, as a little bit of time went by and Israel began to open up, we then realized, well, we're actually pulling away from we don't want to do a movie that's just in the rear view mirror. We don't want to do a movie 2 years later on, hey, this is all about what really happened on October 7th. Now, what we did, which you did, was we collected dramatic, on-the-scene footage of October 7th that people have never seen. And what I love about that is that it's, to me, very reminiscent of 2000 Mules. Because in 2000 Mules, we put people on the scene, right? Here, we're putting people on the scene. It's almost like you're there. And we sort of put this together, and it almost looks like we've made a movie by recreating it all, but no, it's the original. Mm-hmm. It's the original footage. Mm-hmm. So it's a little graphic, and we have a little warning about it.
It's extremely graphic, but that being said, the most graphic videos that I have are not going to be in the movie.
Yeah, and the other thing is to be said is that a lot of these videos, some of them were made in Israel, but others were made by Hamas, and some of them were live streamed at the time. So, needless to say, we, on the second anniversary of October 7th, are about to light a fuse in the sense that, boom, we're going to bring October 7th right to you. But more than that, I think we got the idea, the insight of saying, all right, we've got October 7th, but interestingly, our own interest in biblical archaeology, which had developed just several months earlier, is connected to October 7th because of the key political question: whose land is this? Who are the original inhabitants of this land? And that is, by the way, an interesting question to pose, not just about the Jews, but also about the Palestinians. Who are the Palestinians? You know, this is a very ancient name, but it has only come into use in the last few decades, meaning it was in use in ancient times. The Romans
did it.
The Romans referred to all of Israel as Palestine. Now, many people don't know the story, and this is actually not in the movie, but the Romans come along and they want to like stick it to the Jews because there are some Jewish revolts, right? And so the Romans go, okay, we'll teach these people a lesson. They crush the revolts. And then they say, let's rename the land of Judea, let's rename Israel, and let's take the name of one of Israel's ancient enemies, the Philistines. The Philistines. Yeah. And so the Romans call it Palestina, right? Reverse mortgage. Now, those two words cause many people to respond in kind of a negative way without thinking, and quite frankly, I thought the same. But I found out I was wrong about what can be a unique tool for retirement planning. Read the book that I read. It's called Home Equity and Reverse Mortgages, the Cinderella of the Baby Boomer Retirement. It's provided by Movement Mortgage, a valued partner. Now, if you're in or close to retirement, you owe it to yourself, whether you need money or not, to learn how to properly use the equity in your home the right way. If you want more cash flow, simply want to eliminate a mortgage payment, or you would like to see if you can save on income taxes, well, get this book for free today by going to movement.com/Dinesh, or you can call Movement Mortgage today. Here's the number, 580-REVERSE. That is 580-738-3773. The number again, 580-738-3773, NMLS 39179.